Meeting will come to order. This is the Bucksport Climate Resilience Committee. Unfortunately, at the moment, we do not have a quorum, so the meeting is in an informal state. But let me explain quickly that you can watch this meeting on bucksport.gov. You can access it on cable, channel 1303. And if people could silence their phones, that would be appreciated. One of our committee members has resigned since our last meeting. I'd like to publicly thank Don White for his service on the committee up to his resignation. I certainly, as a personal matter, hope that he continues to be available to continue being an active member of the Bucksport community as he has been for decades. And I'd like to let people who are not in the room know that we have invited, as well as the Bucksport Climate Resilience Committee members, to this meeting. Also, we've invited the Bucksport Conservation Committee to this meeting because there is a potential overlap of some interest areas between the two committees. So let's start with introductions. My name is Ralph Chapman. I'm the chair of the Climate Resilience Committee. And let's go around with the Climate Resilience Committee members first, and then we'll get to the others.
Okay, my name is Stephen St. Peter. I'm the owner of Electric/Solar for Bucksport, Maine. I'm an EV advocate. I plan to help out as much as I can with my resources that I have, the connections that I have. And with that, I'd like to switch it over to Emily.
Emily Fitzgerald, Bucksport resident.
Chris Johnson, Bucksport resident.
And we have two service providers with us. Could you introduce yourselves?
Sure. Debbie Grimmick. I actually live in Brooksville, but I'm part of the service provider team.
I'm Alan Kratz. I live part-time in Brooksville, and I'm part of the service provider team.
Good. And then members of the Bucksport Conservation Committee.
Yes, Linda Pleward, chair of the committee.
I'm Karen Johnson, a resident of Bucksport.
Candy Spalding, a resident of Bucksport.
Thank you all for being here. If you've had a chance to look at the proposed agenda, the way that I try to run meetings is to propose an agenda, and it's fairly detailed, but I'm also flexible. At first, what we'd like to do is look to see what is on the agenda and see if there are any changes, additions, deletions, alterations to it that committee members would like to see. Just for information purposes, near the last 5 minutes of the meeting, I like to do a meeting evaluation. Over the long term, it helps meeting operate better by reviewing what works well and what has not worked so well during the preceding meeting. But are there comments on the proposed agenda that you have in front of you?
Looks great to me. I don't have anything else that I would like to see. This is very comprehensive. Thank you.
Okay, are there any changes anyone requests? And seeing none, we'll consider the agenda, proposed agenda, be the one we follow as closely as we reasonably can. I've just passed out the minutes from our last meeting. Unfortunately, I don't think they were distributed to the committee prior to. At least I couldn't find my copy. If members had a chance to review them, or would you like to take that up at our next meeting?
I've reviewed them, both in email form and in print, and I approve them.
I believe we should table the minutes for the next meeting when we have a quorum. But they do look great.
That sounds like a reasonable way to proceed. So rather than accepting the minutes, we'll table them until we have a quorum at our next meeting. Then we're at the time to learn any news from our service providers relative to the program at the Governor's Office of Policy
Innovation in the Future. That's a long name. Well, I'll just stand here so that everybody can see me. The new news is that the Community Resilience Partnership, which is operated by the Governor's Office of Policy Innovation in the Future, will be having a new grant round that's been now scheduled for June. No date specific. There had been thought that it would be in May, but because there are so many applications that needed to be reviewed from the most recent grant round, staff was busy doing that, and they deferred the new grant round into June, probably with a deadline for applications in the month of August. So that gives all of us, both service providers and you as a committee, and you as other members of the community, to have a few more weeks to think about what would be a good candidate for applying for $75,000 as a community action grant to meet one of the eligible activities. It appears that the same, there will not be major changes in the list of eligible projects, so that the list that you've been working on is still a good list from which to operate and plan for a proposal, plan for the next application. The program was very successful last time, so I think that bodes well for Bucksport going forward.
Thank you.
Debbie, do you have anything to add?
Any questions committee have for our service
I guess I
providers?
should ask, does this Emerald Ash Borer situation that the Conservation Committee is looking at fit in your?
It does. We've looked at the, and I will hand you, I have a copy of the eligible activities. It does seem to qualify, and I think it probably would be a good way to proceed. The Governor's Office is very interested in planning activities and looking at ways that the impacts of climate change can be mitigated through good planning and implementation.
I have a question too.
Yes.
The criteria, are you saying the criteria will be available in June or have been already?
The criteria that will be available in June most likely will be identical to the ones that have already existed.
But it'll be a June release.
It will be a
And then
June,
we have until August, at which time to
Right.
respond. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I wasn't listening.
That's fine. No,
Thank
it'll be a 2-month window for applying.
Right.
And the application requires, as I think you know, it requires a budget, starting with a budget. It requires a definition of what the positive outcome will be, and it requires letters of support. So there's some work to pull it all together to be a convincing, persuasive application. So that's why there's a 2-month window for that work.
Could you say those three things again? You need a cost estimate.
Yeah, the budget,
Outcomes.
most grant funders really like to see the budget first. That's really, sometimes they turn to that before they look at the narrative.
Okay.
They will want to know the outcomes, what's the positive outcome from all of
Projected,
this.
yeah, okay.
And there will be letters of support that will be requested from members of the community, our state legislators, and others who would be positively impacted by the funding of such a proposal.
Thank you.
And that's actually a fun part of the process, getting letters of support, because it really does indicate who's on board, and those are always a very good opportunity to put forward an application.
Okay, thank you.
And is the amount $75,000 for Bucksport?
It's an amount, that's the standard amount, that's an eligible amount for any community that applies. Mhm.
Thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
Next, we have some information updates. The information from Suzanne DePhillips I emailed to folks earlier today. She apologizes for not being able to be here. She's indicated she might be able to arrive 30 or 40 minutes after our scheduled start time, but she also indicated she might try to call in. She got the phone number from Rich earlier today. Well, I haven't heard the phone ring, so I'm guessing that she's busy as
customer,
she
yeah.
has priorities of her own that needed attending to. But she was going to provide some information that she emailed to me, and I sent that on to everyone else. I know that conservation, she indicated that the Conservation Committee had already seen that. And so for our Climate Resilience Committee, have members had a chance to take a look at what I sent earlier today from Suzanne? Is it just a little description, it was an overview description of the emerald ash borer.
That's one of the first
situation.
things she worked on, Mr. Chairman. I believe she integrated the town of Bucksport into some of the proposals that came forward from the, I think that's what I'm referring to, from the Department of Forestry that outlined. I had seen it, Conservation Committee, but you did pass it out, you sent it out to this committee, essentially.
I read it briefly earlier, so.
This is just an overview
Correct.
of that whole proposal, just a general overview.
Well, there's also some suggestions on what towns can do and how they prepare and how they can get themselves organized to deal with that. It was a situation overview, it's called.
Just a
Thank you very
couple
much.
copies of this.
Okay, thank you. There you go.
I have a question about,
Sorry about that.
the community resiliency in Bucksport, the report I saw, the report issued in January that they did. They're just talking about the, property along
Items.
Bucksport Bay. Is that it? Is that all that we can apply for funding for? Is this area, or is there more to it than that? That was my question. I don't understand from reading the report. They're very clear, about the waterfront walkway, like the steamship down here. So if we were talking about like Silver Lake Trails or something like that, would that still be something you could get money for?
So I can't speak to the report that you're referring to. Was that a report that was issued by the town?
Yes, it's the community resiliency report issued in January 2025.
There was a different resilience
Is that
committee that was specific to the waterfront,
Right.
Yeah, so
so it's probably not.
it's not that.
That's
It's different
not this
committee.
That's
So
not
that's-
this committee?
That's not this committee.
That's not this committee.
Ah,
There may be things from that report that would lend themselves, and I've just given Linda the list of eligible activities, so you can take a look at it and see
okay.
if something from that report would align with this. Does that-
Alright, so this
Those
is
are
the
the,
official stuff for this committee.
that's correct.
What's in your hand is what the governor's office of GOPIF, we call it GOPIF to make it a little easier.
Yeah.
That office generated the spreadsheet that's in your hand that were the eligible projects, the eligibility matrix for projects in the last funding round. Our news from Alan is we're anticipating the new funding round may use the same or with only perhaps minor modification. We don't know for certain, but that's at least what was used in the last funding round.
And so at that time, one would assume it involved the entire Bucksport community.
Yes.
And is this available on the Bucksport town website?
I think Rich has it there, and I can also email you a copy.
Yeah.
If the chair would like me to, I have your email addresses, and I can do that later.
Yeah, if you could just, I have at the bottom of the agenda sheet, the email addresses for the committee, for both committees, well, I'm sorry, for the Climate Resilience Committee, there's some overlap, so I didn't repeat the overlaps, but on under the Conservation Committee, if you could please cross out the line that starts with the word Emily, because she does not want the use of that email for purposes of either of our committees.
Right.
And she's on the Climate Resilience Committee list with an email that she is happy to use. But yes,
So,
you,
Mr. Chairman, if you'd like, I can email that list to everybody on the Conservation Committee.
yes, I think that would be a good idea, and I thank you for doing so.
E4, on that list, E4 and H2 are ones that we looked at that could align with Emerald Ash Borer.
Thank you.
E4, and what was the other one?
H2.
H2, thanks.
And I just get easily confused. So this says Community Resilience Partnership, and then this says Climate Resilience Committee.
Right, the Community Resilience Partnership is a program of the Governor's Office of Policy Innovation in the Future.
Okay.
This committee's name is the Bucksport Climate Resilience Committee.
Every town that enrolls can form a committee, must form a committee, and they can call themselves whatever they want. In Bucksport, it's the Bucksport Climate Resilience Committee. In Brooklyn, it was the Climate Response Committee. Other towns take other names, so that was local option.
Thank you.
Emily, the Waterfront Committee, I call it, do they have a different name than that?
There might be a separate waterfront committee, but there was a specific project regarding climate resiliency and rising levels,
Oh, yes, okay.
dealing with the waterfront and a plan for what to do with the waterfront to be more prepared.
Okay.
And that is totally
Not
separate
exactly,
from what
yeah.
you guys are doing. Thank you.
Right, I think climate resiliency was part of the name,
Yes.
if I remember correctly, so.
Okay. Thanks.
Moving ahead, Emily, do you have anything you'd like to report on current cost analysis?
I'm still working with potential vendors. I did finally have a set of people respond in interest to create I'm blanking on the word.
A cost analysis kind of thing?
Yes. Quote. That was the word I was looking for.
Quote, okay.
Yes, one of them dropped out. He felt like it was ill-defined. He had a lot of repeat questions and struggled to understand the answers. So he stepped out. And the others, I'm still waiting on their quotes. But we at least have some fish biting now. It is very difficult to get service providers to respond in any field, I find, so.
So you had asked for quotations, in other words, costs associated with doing what?
An inventory.
An inventory of ash trees on town-owned properties in Bucksport?
Right, yes. That is something I started working on in the Conservation Committee, and it's relevant for us to create a budget. So that is the path that I have been on.
Any, try to answer it.
Hello? Hello? Is this Suzanne? Hi. It's Steven. Can you hold on 1 second? I'm gonna try to put you on speakerphone. No, 1 second. Let me just try it. Alright, can you hear me? Oh, hold on 1 second. Oh. Let me try that one. Right. Hello?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Hi.
cool. Yep, there we go. Excuse me 1 second.
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, it's okay.
We appreciate your effort to join us. This is Chair Ralph Chapman speaking. We lack a quorum, so although we've continued with our agenda and we're in the midst of discussion, we aren't taking any action at this meeting due to the lack of quorum. But thank you for coming. We just passed over recently the written materials that you sent that I distributed to the committee earlier today.
Okay.
And then we've just heard from Emily, who described what her current status was in collecting information on the costs of identifying, doing an inventory of ash trees in on public lands in the town of Bucksport. So in terms of our proposed agenda, which I had emailed to you, we're at the 5:22 mark. Just to discuss the information that we've just received. So are there any questions, clarifications, comments about the information that we've received from Suzanne, from Emily? As committee members may know, the Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, Maine government does have a fairly extensive website dedicated to the emerald ash borer. And as a member of the legislative committee overseeing that department some years back, I was aware of the ash borer, emerald ash borer threat to the state, probably starting in about 2015 or so. It was well known at that time. The threat was on its way. I'm not aware of any particular expenditures on the part of the department or the legislature, other than its informative nature of doing some monitoring programs and the like. I don't know that there was any other specific effort that department, state agency did. They certainly, there were rules involving especially transport of firewood and so forth, but and I don't have any further information to add other than this is a known problem for at least the last decade, and we will see its effects over the next decade or two for sure.
We have learned, and Emily talked to Jake Meyer about this tree tagging thing. Can you enlighten us just a little bit on that?
So I'm not gonna remember the what he called it, but basically in Orland 2 or 3 years ago, trying to get ahead of detection of emerald ash borer, girdled the bottom of the tree. You strip away the bark at the bottom of the tree, and it starts sending out stress pheromones, which attract the emerald ash borer, and you can detect it years ahead of time. They're still monitoring that. They don't have anything yet. But now there are these purple traps available. And the Forestry Service is helping him with this. He is a forester, one of the foresters I was talking with. And he is working to make a proposal to the town of Orland that they can set up these traps. They're free. So he just needs permission to hang them. They're not as, it's not as strong as girdling a tree, but it's a lot less damaging to the tree. And so he said that he would be willing to help us get connected to hang some of these traps in Bucksport. And again, they're free, so it would just be a matter of permission.
And volunteers to place them, that kind of thing.
Right.
I have something to add if I can jump in for a second.
Yes.
So the other thing is, I had talked with the, and I can't think of her name, with the Great Pond. Oh my gosh.
Great
Who are,
Pond.
yeah, the Great Pond. They're dealing with this now, and so I had gone on a bird watching thing, and I met her, and she was telling me that they have an app that they were doing a training with, and that they were, they have volunteers that go out, and it's a way to identify which tree is an ash tree, and that could be something that we can download. It's pretty easy. I know that part of us collaborating between the two committees, the Conservation Committee and the Resiliency Committee, is for the grant, and maybe that we can address this together, because we both have kind of stakes in, obviously, this is kind of in both of our wheelhouses. But between what, I think that was Emily that was talking, if we can all gather our resources and identify, different methods to identify these trees, and then also some, methods to kind of help prevent or to, identify when the emerald ash borer is present. It could be something that we can maybe work together in both committees.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this matter?
It seems that we do have to have, before we can apply for this grant, we're gonna need to come up with some kind of budget, aren't we? That's step one, so. I guess we're all gonna need to get out there and try to find some kind of resource that can give us a.
Yes, there is a group at the University of Maine that has been helping other efforts, but it's more of alongside, not on their own.
I see.
And so that's an avenue we can go down, but we need that professional person
Yeah.
First.
Do you know if the city of Bangor has a forester that,
Yes.
and so did he do theirs?
Yes, and he won't call me back.
I see.
So I'm struggling to get information from them about how much it costs Bangor. And I was hoping for some kind of hourly rate because their total cost isn't necessarily going to be true to us because the amount of acreage and trails are very different.
Sure.
But
The webinar was very extensive that they had here a couple weeks ago, talking about the different systems they were doing with identification, marking it electronically on a map, the different species, the different problems that is, just because there's an ash tree there doesn't mean it's a great place for an ash tree, even if the ash tree isn't, because of ashes were probably not planted in many of them, but some of them were. But they've got an extensive program, and they used a lot of interns and stuff like that. They also have their own forester. So it's a well-established program, but they had multiple ash trees in place, and now they'll have to decide what they're gonna do, so, which is an ongoing program for them, so.
Chris,
Hello.
who was doing that?
City of Bangor.
For the city of Bangor, okay. Did anyone attend or do anything with the Great Pond? Did anyone hear about that? I know I sent some information regarding the app that's supposed to identify these trees. Did anyone attend or get any information on that?
No, I did not. I wasn't aware of it until after I saw the results on Facebook.
Oh.
But I can find out is Jennifer, right, Karen? Maybe Jennifer Riefler and the other lady, I can't.
Jennifer and Carol Bernardi.
Carol Bernardi, yeah.
Jennifer Reef and
Yeah.
Carol Bernardi are working
Yeah.
at Great Pond Mountain on the project,
Right,
mostly to identify brown ash.
right.
I did go out with Jennifer to look at the brown ash with her in the wildlands at Great Pond Mountain. So there's the identity of the ash trees, one issue, and there's the detection of the emerald ash borer, another issue. And that's what the Conservation Committee was working on, to see if we could develop a plan to present to the town of Bucksport about the complexity of what's going on. And we were mostly concerned with which ash trees, if they got emerald ash borer and died, it became hazards, along the trails. As I thought we were working on.
That's right.
But, okay, so that's what our committee was working on. So now there's the purple traps for the emerald ash borer. But then there was a recent thing, which I didn't look at today to prepare for this meeting, but it was just identify ash trees, and you put some purple ribbons on them, and you talk about what this tree is worth. I mean, that was like the forestry thing, what the tree is worth, the value of that tree in your town, how many ash trees you have, how valuable are they. I assumed the value was because of the wood harvest that would go on, but I could be wrong on that. So it's not an easy concept. And then, there's 3 types of ash in Maine: brown ash, green ash, white ash. In my property, up on the river road, it's mostly white ash, few brown ash, and a swamp. And I've never seen green ash in Maine. That's a mystery to me, where these green ash are. The woman who talked at the webinar that the Maine Forest Service did about emerald ash borer and about the forester, because Bangor has a forester. Bucksport does not have a forester that works for the town, but Bangor does. But they got the grad student from UMaine who's doing her master's degree. She's the one who did the inventory. And during the meeting, she didn't say how many hours of time she spent. But did you try to contact her, Emily?
I don't have her information.
Yeah, so I'll look to see if I
know, I got the name, but I don't know.
Yeah, if
how
we have
to
the
contact.
name and you just, Google at UMaine.
That was Bangor she did, right?
Yeah, that she'll do, but hers was very interesting, how she did her inventory, how they assessed the trees. They were just doing inventory of the trees, they weren't necessarily doing detection of emerald ash borer. It was very interesting discussion. So I don't know if when she writes up her thesis, if she includes that in there. I would assume as a forester you would, because forestry's tied to the economics of it, how much you spend, and what you have to do, and how much detection time there is. So that's just another aspect. Yeah.
I read about the tagging and I didn't know whether it particularly would be useful or helpful.
Right.
Do you think so, Chris?
Tagging,
These, what Karen was talking about, they're like a
ID tags.
poster
Yeah.
that goes on the different ash trees and explains the situation.
it's useful for something. Even the situation with the purple and the girdling of trees, I've never understood. Because if you have emerald ash borer on your property, you're in the quarantine. You're gonna be quarantined. So the goal was to get rid of ash trees before you get into the quarantine, because then you could move it anywhere. But once you've identified it and you become in the quarantine, it has to stay, if you harvest it or whatever, it has to stay in that quarantine area. Well, the whole state essentially will be quarantined soon. But I always thought, I never understood, I understand the principle of girdling, I understand why they want to do it, but I don't understand why you'd want to call emerald ash borer to your property with a girdle tree. It just doesn't make financial sense if you're involved in trying to, but the morality of it is that you'd like to protect the species as long as possible. And once it's there, maybe you'll select a couple trees that you want to protect or something like that, or you want to inject. But I know they want to find out where the ash borer is, but once you have it, it's like, you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of wood. It becomes a real disincentive to participate. So once they have that in Orland or wherever, they've got it. Now, so, but now that it's surrounding us, it's a moot point. We're going to get it much sooner than later, I suspect. So I have mixed feelings about the whole detection system, and the purpose of it.
Right, you can have the mindset that you detect it and then do something, or you have the mindset of it's going to happen, so be prepared.
Exactly, and so I know it's coming, and I've been knowing it's coming for a long time, but I can't get anybody to come up and do harvest because they want a lot more than what I have. So that's my personal, or our personal reason that we haven't done it. But I know it's coming, and I know that the whole thing about firewood has been out there for a long time, and I've argued with people about that too. There's more than firewood moving the emerald ash borer through the state of Maine. It's just that it was a convenient excuse to say we're not gonna pick on the commercial or the industrial wood movement. And there's a reason why the emerald ash borer ended up in Madawaska, Edmundston, New Brunswick, before it got into a lot of these other areas, and it wasn't from firewood. So that whole political thing has been out there too. But as far as checking for emerald ash borer, it will be a wake-up call for a lot of people when it gets here. And then the question is, how do we deal with the end product, which is a destroyed tree? And as Karen said, my whole thing was about the safety aspect of it.
Yes.
How can we get it away from trails? How can we get it away from places where people can get hurt from? Because from my understanding, they come down fast once they have it. They're not up there for a very long time.
So that brings us back to your points tie in with the idea that the inventory is what would be useful for us more than trying to stop it, which we
Yeah, but-
probably can't.
It depends on how much, the stopping can get expensive,
Right.
but some people value that. A tree is precious, and, I'm sick about losing the ash trees, but that's gonna happen, so.
So can I inject a little bit here? So I think that we all agree that this is an issue. And what we're dealing with from the Conservation Committee, we've been working on this for months and trying to get costs, and we don't really have that knowledge yet of how much, and we're reaching out to individual people that we think could help us, that have helped other, whether it's Humane or, Bangor or, Orland, whoever, but these people are busy and limited, and they're not non-responsive. And what I know in government is that you have to do a request for a proposal. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to give you this job, give me a price. You have to put it out so other people can bid on it. And that's how you get the information. We should be doing a request for information, and it needs to be published on a government site that the town uses, and then you get people to come in and say, what we all kind of worked on, and I put on that preparation that we have, would be kind of the basis. It gives them information to put out for a bid, and it doesn't cost us anything. We want information. Tell us how, this is what we need done. This is the problem that we're facing. This is what we want. We want an inventory done of the surrounding area, and we want, X, Y, and Z, and we put it out, and then we get responses back, hopefully. I mean, I don't know how that, this area, but that's how it's done in government. And then we're not trying to make phone calls and waiting for emails, because it's all who you know right now. But there are agencies that are out there that look at this, and they're going to want to provide information and a bid for us. And then we can have a solid number that we can, because we have a potential grant that we can utilize. And I don't know, is Alan at this meeting right now?
Hi, Suzanne. Yes, I am. I've been listening to you, and I appreciated getting the report that you sent earlier today through the chair.
So I'm curious, does this, because I know last time I just brought up at the last meeting a little bit of information, and we can always add to it, but does this help with the grant? Is this more of a foundation?
I think your suggestion for a request for information that the town of Bucksport would issue as a lead-in to having the information for an application, competitive application for funding, I think that does make sense. And my suggestion to the committee is that Rich Rotella, who's not here tonight, probably has more knowledge than I do about how the town of Bucksport would do that. And I think that would be a very interesting conversation for the chair and for Rich to have, if the committee and the group feels that that would be a good way forward. I think that would elicit some information that would then form the basis of a good application.
So I did get permission from the town to ask for quotes on behalf of the town. However, my concern about a bid is that happens with approved projects, and we don't have an approved project. Like, we would have to go to council with our project, which is something, we can't do until we have a budget, and
So Emily, if you go, instead of asking for an
But it's
RFP, if you want.
a
ask for
request
an RFI,
for
is it different?
information is
Sorry.
different than a request for a bid. So they're two separate things in government. A request for information is just putting it out there, just exactly that. Hey, we want information. Tell us what you can provide or how much it is. It's not a bid. It's just information. From that's how you build your bid. And that's usually a practice that is done, because you can't, like you said, the egg or the chicken. How do you do it, right? You can't start until you start. So that's just a part of it. So they're two separate things. And maybe I don't know with the town, and I certainly don't know Maine, but that is just standard in all the governments I've worked at throughout the country. It would be a process.
And that was the experience I had in the state of New Jersey. Again, it's not Maine, which is why I suggested that Rich really is the person to guide, but I think Emily has raised a good question. And I'm looking at the clock, and I think maybe that's something to be decided that Rich would help you do.
Yeah.
So as the chair of the committee, I'll follow up with Rich, and I'll follow up with you, Emily, on that process to see what the possibilities are, what the constraints might be. Let me direct your attention to the discussion of other possible projects. The committee had concentrated on a project involving emergency generation for a warming and cooling station. And we've talked about that quite extensively. There are elements of that may be useful, but probably not related to a request for funding through this GoPIF program, for reasons that I won't go into detail now, but if you are interested in knowing more about that, I'm happy to chat with you further about it. There are a couple other possible projects that I sent out information about a few days ago. A community-wide residential energy use reduction project or a metal recycling project, both of which fall under the category of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The GoPIF program is aimed at two types of activities. One is reducing greenhouse gases emissions, and the other is providing a response to the climate changes and trying to plan for those changes. Those are related and connected, but in some respects separate types of activities that are eligible for funding through the GoPIF program. And these two possible projects fall in the category of reducing greenhouse gas emissions as opposed to the preparing for the effect of the climate change. And I'm wondering if committee members have a commentary about the usefulness of pursuing either one or both, or learning more about either one or both.
It sounds like a good plan. Me anyway.
I think it's really important to continue discussing other projects, because we have one project that we have little confidence in at this point, and another one that seems more promising, but I personally am a little concerned that it's not climate related. It's a much, as Alan said, it's a stronger proposal, but it not being climate related is a little concerning to me. So I think we definitely want ideas that we're confident in more than one idea that we're confident in.
Okay, and just to clarify what you've just said, you made reference to two areas, and one that we'd stumbled on, and that was the emergency generator direction.
Right.
And the one not climate related is the ash borer one, is it?
Right.
Right.
I thought that Alan, and I know I missed the first 20 minutes, I thought you said that this actually fit. I thought we agreed that the Emerald Ash Borer actually fit within, several of the line items, that it fits really well. Did I miss something? Because it's more than just climate. I mean, there's so many parts of it. So, I guess I was unaware that it didn't fit really well.
I'm not saying it doesn't fit really well. I was referring to the other project for that.
So, I thought you said that we weren't sure if it was going to be under the scope of the grant.
I just think that because it's not climate related, that we should make sure and make sure that that's going to fit. And because the other one, we don't have as much confidence in, we don't have two proposals that we're confident about. We have one proposal we're more confident about.
Another way to say it is that the migration of the emerald ash borer may have a climate component to it, but it's not actually clear that there is a climate component to it, which might be a reason why the analysis of a proposal to deal with it might not do so well in the competitive process. I think what Emily is saying, but don't let me put words in your mouth, is that having more than one potential direction to go may be useful for us, especially knowing that we're several months away from submittal of a proposal.
Well, I would actually agree with that. The last part is that I always think you need to have plan A and plan B. I just think we need more information. I think that we should always have something ready. And so I agree with that idea. We just need information so we can make an informed decision and make a decision and move forward. So hopefully, to be honest, Ralph, I didn't read what you sent, so I will go back in my email. I think I missed it, and read over what you had sent, if you sent it last week, for these two other possibilities.
Okay, it was a paragraph on each topic, the residential energy use reduction and the metal recycling. I had about a paragraph on each one.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to where this would fall within the climate issue? We have an email from Ashley Krulik, and she said, as to Bucksport's Emerald Ash Borer Management Project idea, some components of the project may align with a list of eligible projects, but perhaps not all. So it's partially in there, but not 100%. So
Yeah,
just validating what you're.
My concern was when I was trying to let them know which two line items we looked at. The end of E4 says that includes climate stressors. Right. And that's I just think it's something that we should be aware of and make sure that, but communicating with Ashley, it would definitely be the way to be sure.
So are you at the point then what Suzanne has presented, is that something that I should talk with Ashley about now? Or do you prefer to wait?
I think it might give a clearer answer to from Ashley.
Yeah, I can, I don't know if I hear you talking, it just sounds really low volume.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd step back to my seat. My suggestion was that are you as a committee at the point where what you presented is something that I should talk with Ashley Krulik about to see how well it aligns or does not align with a list of eligible activities. That was my suggestion. I'm willing to do that if the committee agrees.
Absolutely. I would agree.
Other committee members?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Yes, Alan, the
I will do
committee
that.
would be happy for you to do so.
I'll take Suzanne's. Thank you.
Yes, Linda?
Quick question, is it possible to have more than one, let's say that our budget comes in at 35,000, we'll say. Can you put a second one in the same grant? Like, could you go after the metal thing in the same grant?
No.
Two subjects,
Alan's saying no.
No.
okay. That's unfortunate, but okay.
So let me ask the committee if there are other comments about either of these other two projects that you'd like to make, other than the comments you've already made. Any?
No. I've got to go back and read those, excuse me, those paragraphs again. To
Okay.
understand how these
The
topics.
emergency generation subject. Is that one of the things that we can?
Well, I was referring to these two of the
Oh, I'm sorry.
residential energy use reduction or the metal recycling.
Okay, residential, all right. Got lost
The
there.
emergency generation project, I think we've uncovered useful information that may be useful to the town, and we may, as a committee, want to make the town aware of what useful information we've developed from it.
Okay,
The likelihood of that funneling itself into a proposal for funding from this agency at this time, I think is very low probability, because of the barriers that we've run into.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean that our effort is wasted. That is to say, I'd like to keep alive those aspects of the information that we generated that may be useful to the town outside of this. I think it a mistake if our committee restricts itself only to considerations of what's going to work for funding through this particular funding round of this particular agency. That is a focal point for us, but I would like to think that we might be able to generate useful ideas that are available for
okay.
other beneficial purposes as well. Yes,
Might I make a suggestion on the community-wide residential energy use reduction? Debbie and I have some experience with this with the town of Sedgwick and the town most recently, the town of Brooklyn, which has received funding for energy use reduction through the Brooklyn Climate Response Committee, which has done a series of monthly programs educating members of the public about how to do that. That's really, they also do energy coaching, where people from the committee will visit voluntary homeowners to talk about better weatherization, how to reduce energy use, how to get Efficiency Maine rebates and incentives from Efficiency Maine. So that could be a very compelling project. And I just, you might want to explore that and we can elaborate on what the town of Brooklyn is doing successfully with their funding through this program. It's very much on point.
Thank you, Alan. Any other comments?
Set, thank you.
Then we're at a spot of trying to identify what our next steps are. What I've heard so far is a continuation of information collection where we might be able to collect it dealing with the Emerald Ash Borer, including I've agreed to try to talk to Rich about the town issuing a request for information in some formalized way that might be another avenue for getting some information, service providers dealing with forestry issues. And Alan has offered to put further questions to Ashley Krulik at GoPIF about that project idea. And there was one other thing that you were going to do, Alan, which was to send around the spreadsheet.
Done.
Good, thank
It's in your
you.
email.
Cool.
Are there other, Emily, we're gonna continue with
yeah.
what you've been on?
I'll keep pushing and,
Good. Are there other tasks, other questions that we'd like answered? Yes, Debbie?
I just wanted to mention that I did look at the video on the ash borer presentation, and I thought it was interesting that they had discovered it in Belfast, probably very, very early. So I wondered if it would be reasonable to reach out to the town of Belfast to see if they're doing anything, just because it's a very different community than Bangor.
yeah, I could ask them as well.
It's similar to ours, I would say, as far as
Yeah, definitely closer than our situation than Bangor.
And the mayor works there.
Good, so, yes, and an answer to your question, Debbie, and yes, that would be appreciated by the committee if you have a contact there, Emily.
Yeah.
Let me ask committee member, oh, yes, Chris.
Just gonna ask if we have time to ask the folks from the Conservation Committee if they had any comments or any issues. That's all, that before we close.
Further questions or comments from members of the Conservation Committee?
There was just one other idea in the presentation the other day about the elm trees, the ash trees in Bangor. They were assessing them, and if there was one that was really valuable and you wanted to keep, it can be saved with injections of insecticides. So that was the other part of it. Is there an ash tree that's really valuable to the community for whatever reason? And then they talked about it's like $200 to $300 every 2 to 3 years to inject it and keep it alive. That's just one other aspect. There was some beautiful tree that was identified you could keep. And it's a great idea to see what Belfast is doing.
2 things really quick. Did you talk to Sue Lassard about the request for information? That was in our minutes last month, but it's been a while.
I talked to her about, we had mentioned request for information and, not quote, bid. And, so I had asked about being able to solicit and ask people on behalf of the town, and that's what I got permission for.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is I read your proposals of the residential energy and the metal recycling, and I thought that the metal recycling was very interesting. That really appealed to me when I read about the leachate and so forth.
Good, okay, maybe we can take up further discussion of that at our next meeting. Meanwhile, let's take just a moment to ask committee members, especially what's worked well, what could be improved in our meeting processes, etc. Any commentary?
I think it gets better every time we do it.
Yeah, I know.
Serious, because I would tell you if it didn't.
Do more.
Thank you, Chris. Any other comment?
It's going good so far.
Okay.
Yeah, my only comment is I'm really appreciating that both of these committees, because we both kind of are on the same, I would say, plane, and we both have interest in all of these projects actually. And it would be really good, and I appreciate all of us working together, because there's going to be an issue whether it's emerald ash borer or some of the other projects, and I think it's very good to collaborate. So we're all not, we're using our resources wisely, all of us. So that's my only comment, is that I appreciate everybody coming together like this.
Yeah, well, thank you for your comment. Hearing no other comments, oh, Alan, yes.
Do you wish to set you mentioned next meeting, do you wish to set that date tonight? Or do you prefer to wait until the next grant round is announced? What would be most helpful?
Well, our last meeting was about a month ago. We were anticipating that we might learn about the next grant round at this meeting, now that we know there's a little bit of delay in the side of GOPIF. My gut reaction is to schedule our next meeting or think about scheduling our next meeting in about a month, but I'm flexible in that. And I suspect the best way for us to do it, but I'm open to other suggestions, is to set the next meeting date by email in collaboration with information. As soon as you know something more, please let me know, Alan, and otherwise I will try and sound out what day and time works best for everyone. As Suzanne's schedule has changed, we may choose to move our meeting time to be more accommodating to her, and et cetera. So unless you have a better suggestion, I'll handle that by email.
Sounds good to me.
And with that, we'll adjourn.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, everyone.
I believe this is the